Tim coming? I thought Tim was coming. He goes,
All right, so
sitting right there, and I'm like, that's today.
being that the time is 7 o'clock, I am calling to order the Monday, October 9th, 2023, 7 p.m. Planning and Development Committee meeting. Would you please call the roll?
Titus.
Here.
Foltz.
Here.
Munns. Here. Lencioni.
Here.
Jem. Petrella.
Here.
Werbaugh.
Here.
Bessner.
Here.
Weber.
Here. Thank you very much. We do not have a consent agenda today, so moving on to A before we start. David?
Yes, for the record, I am recusing myself from this vote for conflict of interest, potential reasons.
All right, would you like to start with item A, consideration of a request to donate Dean Street lot to Habitat for Humanity?
Thank you. I wanted to start by providing some brief background before jumping into the request. The city has a housing trust fund which was established for the purpose of providing and preserving affordable housing opportunities in St. Charles. For residential development, the city's inclusionary housing ordinance requires developers to either provide a certain percentage of affordable units or to pay a fee in lieu. These fee in lieu payments then go into the housing trust fund. Since 2018, the city has made available to developers a portion of the housing trust fund through the Kane County Affordable Housing Fund. This was done as a means for affordable housing developers to access the city's funds. The county fund also includes federal CDBG and home funds, and developers apply for funds annually through the county's process. The Kane-Elgin Home Commission approves county funding for projects. The St.Charles Housing Commission then approves the city's end of funding for projects located in St. Charles for which city funds are requested. In June, Kane County issued its annual call for proposals. Habitat for Humanity of Northern Fox Valley submitted a request for funding to construct 2 affordable homes in Kane County. During this time, it was identified by city staff that a city-owned lot on Dean Street may present an opportunity for affordable housing. The lot is located at the southwest corner of Dean and North 15th Street. The Kane-Elgin Home Commission approved $115,000 in funding from Kane County for the project and recommended the city also contribute $115,000 from the Housing Trust Fund and to transfer the Dean Street lot to Habitat for construction of the home. The St. Charles Housing Commission approved the city's portion of the funds at their meeting last month. Funding is in the form of a 0% interest forgivable loan. Once the home is constructed, Habitat will transfer ownership to a qualified buyer. The buyer will have an income that is at or below 80% of the area median. The affordability period of the house will be at least 20 years. Habitat also has a first right of refusal, so if the homeowner decides to sell in the future, Habitat can buy it back and sell it again to another qualified buyer. The Housing Commission also recommended City Council approve transfer of the Dean Street lot to Habitat. To provide some background on the lot is about 5,300 square feet in size. It's a single-family zoning. The lot was originally platted in 1908, and it was acquired by the city at some point thereafter. In 1983, the city dedicated a portion of the lot as public right-of-way to connect 15th Street to Dean. Then the city retains the remaining portion. It's been mowed by the city. Since then, it does not. The city does not have a need for the lot from an infrastructure perspective. In 2020, there was a similar situation with a city-owned lot on Moore Avenue, which the city donated for construction of an affordable home. So if the committee recommends approval of the lot donation, staff will work with the city attorney and Habitat to prepare a real estate contract, and then council will be asked to authorize execution of the contract to convey the property to Habitat.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, one quick question. When you say Habitat has the ability to buy it back, do they get the first chance, or are they part of that bidding process with other potential buyers?
I believe they get first chance.
Okay.
Couple questions. What is the current balance of our housing trust fund?
It is a little over $2 million.
$2 million, okay. And then just to clarify, they're looking for $115,000 and then conveyance of Dean Street lot. That's what they need from us.
Correct.
And then when will they start the project, and then how long does it take to complete?
I don't have a timeline from Habitat. I believe they'd look to start next year, and I'd assume they would. I don't have a project schedule, but in the next 1 to 2 years.
1 to 2 years. Okay, great. Thank you.
Are there any questions, other questions right now? Weber?
Question, when does the ownership transfer over to the person?
I believe after Habitat completes the home, I believe the chosen purchaser is active in helping to build the home. They sweat equity, they call it. So they participate in building of the home, and then once it's complete, I believe it's transferred to Habitat.
Is the owner, are they able to rent it out, release it out after they take possession of it?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions? I had something that I wanted to bring up that we had discussed when reviewing this. When we're talking about the Dean Street lot being donated, one of the questions that came up was whether or not it would be appropriate to purchase that from the city using trust funds, because we have a large balance in that, and considering that we're not a for-profit organization, that property has been the property of the residents of St. Charles. You know, would there be any appetite or taking a look at, from council, if you had any interest in reimbursing the city, which you would be reimbursing the taxpayers for a property that they owned, that was, you know, that they've been supporting for this time, using those funds that are in place, you know, for creating affordable housing?
So you're talking about reimbursing ourselves out of the trust fund? Is that what you're?
Yeah, because, that would be, it was just a question of whether council wanted to consider or had any interest in discussing whether that would be appropriate.
You know, for me, I'm going to take a pass on that. That's just me.
Is there an assessed value on that lot?
No, we would need to get an appraisal done if there was interest in reimbursing ourselves. We would also have to take a look closer at the Housing Trust Fund ordinance and make sure that it would be an eligible activity, because those funds are restricted in their use.
And would that be a separate discussion or a separate item? Can we vote on this today and then vote on that at a separate time?
We can vote on this, and we can vote on it however we see fit, but it was just an idea that came up that was brought because, you know, you could say that this belongs to the city, but we're an organization. We're a representative of the taxpayers. So.
No, yeah, I understand the concept. I'm just asking if that has to happen in tandem. Does it have to go together, or can these things be separated?
We would probably want that to be determined when we bring this back with the real estate contract. Then that would be done together.
Your committee, what are your thoughts on that? If we approve things today, and there could be more information later, if people were interested, because this is the first anybody's hearing about this concept.
Right.
We can look at it at a staff level. I think those can be two separate motions. We can proceed with this as is today, and then look into the other item and bring that back if that's even allowable under the limitations with the housing fund.
Weber?
Because this is at the part of where it's at right now, and I know it's hard to get approvals between the county and stuff like that to initiate these kind of projects. For this purpose, I'd be fine with letting it move on the way that it is, and then, you know, you brought up a good point, maybe for future things, that's something that is discussed, but I feel like this one right now, we let it continue on.
I would agree with that.
I just have a question on past projects. What did we do in the past with the land? The same process that we're doing tonight? Is that what we?
So the one other time that we donated a lot on the Moore Avenue property, the city had owned that property and was it was large enough to subdivide, and I believe half of the remaining parcel was buildable and half was not part of the 7th Avenue Creek project. So the remaining portion, the city council decided to put that out there as an available lot as part of the King County Call for Projects.
Okay.
So then developers applied for that lot. So once we got a proposal, then it was brought forward to execute the real estate contract. This one is a little bit different because the proposal is coming as part of a funding request, also without the city already having discussed the lot donation.
Okay. All right. Very good.
And then, are we incurring, outside of mowing, are we incurring any other costs through taxes or anything like that? I mean, is this a benefit to donate this property?
I believe we are not incurring any other benefit.
So just mowing?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Munn, second by Wirball. Please call the roll.
Jem?
here. Petrilla.
Recuse not voting.
Oh, sorry. Wirball.
Yes.
Bessner.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Sokaitis.
Yes.
Folk.
Yes.
Munns. Yes.
That passes. Thank you. Moving on to item B. Jean?
I will be recusing myself from the conversation and the vote on this one.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to Alderperson Petrella. So yours as well, considering item B, Plan Commission recommendation to approve a PUD amendment for 405 Illinois Avenue, Heritage Square 2 PUD.
Thank you. Bob Rasmussen is requesting to amend the Heritage Square 2 PUD in regards to 405 Illinois Avenue. The PUD was approved in 2003, and it encompasses 2 office buildings, 2 multifamily buildings, covering 1 city block. The PUD limits the number of residential units on the property to 13 units. The applicant is proposing to convert 405 Illinois Avenue from offices to 8 one-bedroom apartment units. This requires a PUD amendment. No changes to the exterior of the site are proposed, and parking is adequate to accommodate the change in use. Plan Commission held a public hearing on September 19th and voted unanimously to recommend approval.
Yeah, I just have one question just to reassure the residents over there. So this will actually diminish the need for off-street parking. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, under the code, the parking requirements are lower for this residential use based on the number of bedrooms versus the parking demand expected for an office use.
Okay, so we expect less use on the streets with this change in the future then?
Yes, the parking accommodated on the site is more, there's more spaces than are required.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Are there any other comments? So looking for a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved by Wirball, seconded by Petrella. Please call the roll.
Petrilla.
Yes.
Wirball.
Yes.
Bessner.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Sokaitis.
Yes.
Folk.
Yes.
And that's everybody, so that motion passes. Thank you very much. Moving on to C, Historic Preservation Commission recommendation to approve historic landmark designation for 405 Prairie Street, William and Martha Klinke. Thank you, Russ.
This landmark application was submitted by the property owner. Historic Commission held a public hearing to review the application and recommended approval. The house is a colonial revival style Cape Cod built in 1935. The design of the house is unchanged from original, but the exterior materials on the building are newer. It was designed by the firm Wolf, Anderson, Harper, and Truo. They designed a number of prominent St. Charles buildings, which includes the Hotel Baker and Baker Community Center. The home is being landmarked for its ties to the architecture firm and also to the Klinke family, who are longtime residents that operated an HVAC business in the community for 90 years. The Historic Commission findings are included in the meeting packet. We also have the Historic Commission Chair, Kim Millay, available here to speak to any questions on the application and findings.
Move for approval.
Second.
Oh, hang on, before we move, Kim is here. I do have a question about consideration, how this meets, and if you could help us understand, what the guidelines, because there's been, it makes sense for us to understand guidelines for meeting historical approval, because taking a look at it, it looks like a lot of the house has been changed, and so there were questions.
Okay, yeah, so basically, when the commission looks at landmarks, we have 2 categories that it falls under, architectural and historic. So if it falls in historic, and maybe there's been changes outside, it still can be a landmark, okay? Because it is tied to a historic person or event, okay? In this case, this building, it does represent Cape Cod very well. So architecturally, we'll stay in the contributing mode, okay? Yes, it has had some synthetic sidings, or I should say, engineered sidings. It's got the hardy board siding to it, as well as it has had a change in the front entryway, which we did not get a chance to take a look at, and it wasn't done the way we would have requested it to be. It does have wood and aluminum clad windows, and so the hardy board and the aluminum clad, we actually approve on older homes. Okay, we do see the real position that people are looking for ways to maintain their homes and be able to do it affordably without creating a mishmash of appearance. And so that is why we have gotten to the point over the years of really researching. The commission doesn't just make these changes or these approvals easy. We research materials. We take a look at materials. We usually ask for actual examples so that we can look at them and make sure that it's quality product. Okay? So when we do make those decisions to get away from, say, a clapboard or solid wood window, we want to see what we're approving. Okay? In this case, would we have approved everything they did? No. But we're not basing it off of the architectural style. We are basing this one off of the history because of the fact it is tied to the architects that did design the Hotel Baker and several other buildings in town, as well as it is part of the Klinke family heritage. So those two things did make it eligible for the historic.
I have a question. What kind of prohibitions would there be in the future? Seeing as there have been some departures in the past, would similar departures be allowable, or what does that look like if it goes into the status?
So basically, they can always maintain what they have. Okay, we would never force them to change what they already have. If they were to fix the front entry, because I think that's probably one of the biggest complaints that we had today, when they would come back to make that change, we definitely would help them design an appropriate entryway. Okay, they could take it off and put it on, but it's a matter of we want to make sure that we did design it this time to be more architecturally.
So anytime they would go through the permit process, it would come through historical review because it's now got the status.
Right, just like everything else, it would come in before a COA.
Okay, thank you for coming today. Thank you for that information.
I just had one quick question. In your grid where you show, the Tidewater South tradition, I think there's 5 or 6 photos of houses there. Is this pointing out that this is considered a Clayton house? You have an asterisk by number 2, and these all have different house names, so I didn't know if I missed something.
These are different types of architectural
Right.
styles in that category, and
It was number 2.
I think it was.
Yeah, it's asterisk there. I just wasn't sure.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I didn't.
I do remember that being brought up in the meeting. Yeah, that would be one.
Yeah, I was more interested or curious about the house names that they had for all of them,
And
but.
really, like I said, yes, the front entry has changed. And there's a few trim pieces that we probably would have, preferred them to go a little thicker with. But overall, it really has maintained its status. So even though we did not feel that it deserved the architectural designation, we do feel strongly that it deserved it historic.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, I just want to say thank you for the historical background on the house. So it was very interesting to read. So thank you for doing the work on that. Appreciate it.
And I do want to, if you guys don't mind me just taking a minute, I really do want to call attention to the way our commission functions. We have a gentleman on there that does a lot of research. So if people come in and say they would like to landmark their property, we're more than willing to help and do that research and really get that background. And we do this too when we are looking at demolition calls, so that we can understand the history.
Well, I have a question with that too. And this sounds terrific, but are there ever times when somebody's looking to landmark a home and the historical commission feels like there's not enough? Okay.
We have. But this is not the first time we've landmarked a home that has engineered siding on it too. So we really take each property at its own merit. And we've had people come in and say, well, we think, we've heard, that type of thing. We'll say, no, it's not quite there yet. So we've denied it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate all the great information.
Thank you.
Any other comments from committee? Looking for a motion?
I think we already made a motion. So
So there was a motion by Wirball and a second by Petrella. Wasn't recognized at the time, so we're ready for a roll call.
Petrella. Yes.
Wirbong,
Yes.
Betzner,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Kulkaitis,
Yes.
Folks,
Yes.
Munns.
Yes.
That passes. Thank you very much. So moving to 5, is there any additional public comment? None. So, additional items from mayor, council, or staff? Seeing none, no executive session. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Bethner, second by Worthing. All in favor, say aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you all.
So I just.